Hey, everybody. Ashley Page here. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's educational vlog. For those of you who are new clients or new friends to viewing our content here, what we do with the educational vlog is that we do a deep dive for you on Thursday on one topic that we feel will help you add to your library, as it were, of understanding of money and markets. That's in compare and contrast to the portfolio vlog that the guys do on Monday that give you a broad range of topics that are going to be market impactful for this week. So the title of our educational vlog today is Service Sector Inflation is Also a Problem This Time. Normally what we'll do on the educational vlog is that we will go into topics that you don't see in the popular press. We're making a little bit of an exception to that rule today because there's just so much discussion out there that you are following on inflation. We understand that. And in addition to that, we're getting a lot of questions from clients and friends of ours right now that basically are asking us this question: why does inflation seem so dug in this time? Worse and longer. And so we wanted to address that because with what's going on with inflation, in particularly the service sector, it's very different than what you normally see in an inflationary cycle. So in addition to a lot of the information that you get in the popular press, we want to unpack that part of it for you a little bit because that's what's a little bit different this time. As a little bit of an update, you saw on Friday that the year-over-year inflation data was up 8.6%. That, of course, is the highest it's been since the first year of Ronald Reagan's presidency in 1981. So inflation right now is steamy, and the Federal Reserve, in increasing interest rates, is trying to get over the top of that. You'll see that trend continue. But we want to dive into it a little bit so you could get a little bit better understanding of why we're dealing with it even more this time. So first of all, let's go back to the basics. For the last 50 years, the Department of Labor tracks cost increases in two categories that you'll see. One is goods, one is services. Now, as a one-off, we believe here at Five Plan Partners that really what the Department of Labor should do right now is add a third, and that's called the experience economy. I will also say that if you would like to learn a little bit more about the experience economy, we also did an educational vlog on that very topic about 3 or 4 months ago. But for the moment, let's pull back away from the experience economy and let's go and look at the core two dynamics of goods and services inflation, because that's really the point we want to make for today. So, of course, the energy costs are the umbrella that overhangs all of this. But when you're looking at goods and services inflation, once again, we have to look back a couple of years to some of the unusual impacts that COVID on the front end has caused and now the back end has caused. So if you look at inflationary pressure in the first part of the COVID pandemic, there was a lot of price increase in the goods sector. And that's things like trying to buy an automobile, trying to buy an appliance. You all remember how difficult that was for a time because you had log jams at ports, you had other problems in the supply chain, and cost of goods like that, particularly that were value added, really went up. I remember a friend of mine was telling me that he purchased a car in Montgomery for his wife. And he said for the very first time, he paid $5,000 above the sticker, and it wasn't even the color that he wanted. So you had a lot of odd things going on like that. So in this COVID era, the first part of inflation that set in was the goods portion, and it started to go up, up, up. The interesting thing is now that when you look at inflation total, which is still high, actually the goods inflation is starting to moderate. It's still up some, but that rate of increase is dropping. And the reason for that is that these supply chains have started to work themselves out. You don't have as much logjam at large ports like City of Los Angeles. Rail is better, trucking is better. So what is happening on the goods side is that prices are starting to moderate there. As a matter of fact, a lot of retailers, particularly on the clothing side right now, are overstocked. And you've seen a lot of that dynamic in how they've reported in markets later. So the goods component actually went up initially in COVID, but now starting to moderate. What is different this time is inflation in the services side. Services is anything from going to your doctor, to going to your dentist, to picking your cleaning up, to going to the hairdresser. You get the point. The supply chain is not really an issue there. When I went to go see my doctor at St. Vincent's the other day, there was no supply chain issue between us. All I had to do was have enough gas to get from my house in Homewood down to St. Vincent's. So having said all that, what normally will happen is that inflation will set in the goods component first. And then once that starts to moderate, you normally don't have a companion inflation that is high in services too. So what will happen is the goods inflation will moderate out. You won't really have anything in services, and the inflationary cycle doesn't seem to be as high or nearly as long. The problematic portion of it this time is we've got a lot of price increases in the services component now too, and that's unusual. That's why you're seeing an inflationary cycle that is more severe and longer. Why is that? Well, that's the backside of COVID, and there are two reasons for that. Number one, when you go into any service provider, what do you hear them say? We can't get people to work. We don't have enough staff. So a lot of people on the service side are having to pay up to keep the staff they do have, and they're also having to pay up on salaries to get people to come in and try to give more depth to their offering. The second thing that you're seeing there is a lot of pent-up demand in that service sector. Remember, during the COVID pandemic, you really couldn't get on an airliner, you really couldn't go to a restaurant, you couldn't go to a sports event. Many times, even though it was outside, you certainly couldn't go to one in a gymnasium. So now that COVID is starting to moderate a little bit, there's a lot of pent-up demand that people are trying to get out there. So a lot of service cost outside of the employment aspect of it, where that cost is going up and they're pushing that along to you, is that you're seeing a lot of price dynamic that's so much higher. My wife and I went, as one example, took an international flight with our church group about 2 years ago, and we were looking at the airline and hotel prices then. We're about to do another one with the same group. Y'all, the airline prices are up like 33 to 40%. The lodging prices, the food prices are up, even to the point where we're spending about the first week and a half with our church group, but then she and I were going to split off and do one more country as an add-on. But when we looked at the price of that, it was those 3 or 4 days were just exorbitant. And it was all based in food cost, airline cost, and lodging cost. And we're like, well, I'll tell you what, we'll just stick with the group this year and we'll do that trip next year. So that service sector as a companion is really going up. Now, the good news is, much like goods inflation is moderating, services will also begin to moderate during this year. But a lot of the market upheaval that you're seeing right now is the fact that this services component is flying in formation, as you will, with goods increases in inflation, and you normally don't see those together. So a lot of that togetherness is causing a lot deeper inflation cycle and much longer. But the services, once that starts to moderate, and people have been out there traveling for a longer period of time, they've gotten back used to it again, you'll start to see those prices moderate too. It's just going to take a while. So in summary, that's why this inflation, to the point of question of our clients, is seeming more dug in right now, because it is, because you have both goods and services that are an issue right now with the price of energy overhanging all of it. And so it's a lot to unravel as we go. But once we're seeing the services price start to decrease too, now that goods is already beginning to do that, it'll start to get more moderate towards the end of the year. So we hope this is helpful to you. As always, we love to hear from you on any social media platform. Reach out to us this way. As we always say, we're Southerners, so we just love it when you pop by to see us or call us on the landline. If you want to talk to us about this topic more or any other topic, we always are thrilled to hear from you or see you in any way. So in the meantime, we hope this helps you understand what's going on with this inflationary cycle a little bit better. And until then, we hope you have a great rest of the week. Thanks.